She waved at me with blood on her hands. Then smiled. Wide and calm. And I realized, she knew I was watching. You know how people always say, it's always the quiet ones. Yeah. They were talking about people like Mrs. Thompson. She was my next-door neighbor when I lived in a quiet suburb in Koforidua.
Hello there, and welcome to Tales from the Baobab, the place where we gather under the shade of Ghana's great storytelling tree. Here, we uncover the hidden narratives and untold stories of our world. So, pull up a stool, lend me your ear, and let's get lost in a tale. Don't forget to subscribe, thank you.
She was my next-door neighbor when I lived in a quiet suburb in Koforidua. Everyone called her Miss Emma. She was in her late 50s, neat as a pin, always smiling, always baking something. She would water her flowers at 6 a.m. sharp, sweep her steps like clockwork, and always ask how you were doing, like she really cared. And I used to believe she did. I was 23 when I moved into that neighborhood. It was a peaceful street. Middle-class folks. Kids riding bikes. Clean front yards. My apartment shared a fence with Miss Emma's house. We even shared the same outdoor tap. The first time I met her, she gave me banana bread. Said, "It's good to have a nice young man next door." I smiled, thanked her, and thought she was just one of those overly sweet, church-going auntie types. But there were signs. I just didn't want to see them. It started with the dogs. Every dog in the neighborhood would bark non-stop when she walked past. Even the quiet ones would growl. And not like a scared bark, like they were wanting something. Then, there was the smell. Every now and then, this thick, sour smell would drift from her backyard. Not rotten food. Something worse. Like wet meat and rust. She always said it was just the compost, and laughed it off. I didn't press it. It wasn't my business. Until the night I couldn't ignore it anymore. It was a Friday. I couldn't sleep. My fan was broken, so I was sweating through my t-shirt. Around midnight, I went out to sit on the porch. That's when I saw the light in Miss Emma's backyard. She had one of those motion sensor lights. But it wasn't blinking. It was steady. Like she had turned it on herself. I peeked through the wooden fence. I don't know why I did it. I just felt weird. Something felt off. What I saw has stuck with me forever. Miss Emma was standing in her backyard barefoot, wearing a white nightgown soaked with something dark. She had a small animal, I think it was a chicken, in one hand and a knife in the other. Not a kitchen knife. A curved one. Thin and old-looking. She slit the chicken's neck slowly, not fast like someone killing an animal. She watched it as it bled out. Like she was feeding on the moment. Then she crouched. Dug a small hole with her hands. No tools. Just her fingers. I could hear her whispering something, over and over. Her voice sounded wrong. Not like her usual soft voice. This one was dry and scratchy, like she had gravel in her throat. She dropped the chicken into the hole. Then, and this is the part that messed me up, she turned her head directly toward me. I hadn't made a sound. I hadn't. She smiled. With blood on her hands. And waved. Like it was just a normal night. The next morning, she brought me cupcakes. I stared at the Tupperware in her hands and just froze. She smiled the exact same way. Soft. Warm. But now it felt forced. Stretched. I told her I was diabetic. I'm not. She said, "Well, that's a shame. I was going to make you something special." Things got worse after that. My upstairs neighbor, Lucy, stopped showing up for work. After 5 days, her boss called the landlord. They found her in her room, sitting in a chair, unblinking, holding a cup of tea. Still alive, but she wouldn't speak. Just stared straight ahead. Another guy down the street, Aaron, crashed his car into a pole on a straight road. He swore he saw a face in the passenger seat just before he hit it. He hasn't driven since. All this happened within 2 weeks of me seeing what I saw. And every time something strange happened, Miss Emma brought food. Thought you might be needing comfort, she'd say, smiling. I finally worked up the courage to check her yard in the day. I waited until she left for her usual Saturday church meeting. Jumped the fence. Went to the corner where she buried the chicken. I dug. Not bones. Photos. 3 of them, wrapped in clear plastic and tied with black string. Lucy. Aaron. And me. My photo had something scratched across my mouth in red marker. I burned the photos. That night, something scratched my window. I live on the first floor. I didn't look. I didn't sleep. The next morning, there were footprints outside my window. Bare feet. Long toes. Dragged like someone walked slowly, half asleep. I moved out 3 days later. Left most of my things. Didn't even wait for my deposit. I didn't care. It's been a year. But sometimes I still dream of her. Of her whispering. Of her turning slowly, smiling with blood on her teeth. And every so often, a package shows up at my door. No return address. Just banana bread. Wrapped tight. Still warm. I don't eat it. I never will.